Right, members, welcome to this formal board meeting of the Cairngorms National Park Authority. My name is Sandy Bremner, the board convener. This meeting is being live streamed, and a very warm welcome to members of the public who are watching or listening to our proceedings online. We have apologies today from Anne Ross, Mike Williamson, Hannah Grist, Chris Beattie and Lauren McCallum. Item 2. I should start by asking for the clerks to take a roll call.
Shiva Blackett.
Yes, I'm here.
Here.
Peter Cosgrove.
Good morning. Here.
Kenny Deans.
Here.
Paul Gibb.
Here.
Russell Jones.
Morning.
John Kirk.
Morning. Here.
Bill Lobin.
Here.
Steve Micklewright.
Yeah, I'm here.
Eleanor McIntosh.
Morning.
Fiona McLean.
Morning.
Duncan Miller.
Morning.
Derek Ross.
Here. Thank you very much. Item 2, approval of minutes from meetings on the 22nd of November 2024 and the 14th of February 2025. Sorry, Jackie.
No, I wasn't on the roll call, just in case that matters.
It does, and your presence is noted. Thank you. We move on to minutes. So first, the minutes from the 22nd of November. Are there any points of accuracy on the minutes? None, thank you very much. We'll take that as an accurate record. Next, the minutes from the 14th of February. Again, any points of accuracy? None, thank you very much. Approved. Item 3, matters arising not covered elsewhere. There are quite a few. First, action points from the meeting on the 22nd of March 2024. So this is paper 1, CEO report, paragraph 7.1, CEO to prepare a briefing note on farming activity and statistics in the Cairngorms National Park and to distribute to the board. So this is scheduled for our June board meeting. Action points from our meeting on the 13th of September 2024, paper 1, CEO report at paragraph 9.1, board session to be scheduled to allow members to reflect, consider and adopt the organisational values. This is scheduled for our session on the 9th of May. Paper 2, National Park Partnership Plan at paragraph 13. First point, future report on carbon footprint to be circulated to the board and published on the web. This is in hand. Point 2, future updates to include more detailed traffic light ratings to clearly show activities at risk of being delivered, also in hand. Action points from the meeting on the 22nd of November 2024, paper 1, CEO report at paragraph 6b.1. Review the planning call-in protocol and discuss at a future planning committee. So this is in hand and will be brought to the board at a future board business session. At paragraph 6c.2, give an update on brand use at a future meeting. This is now complete. Over 200 businesses across the Cairngorms National Park are now signed up to our brand charter scheme. This gives partners access to a range of free promotional materials, including the use of a logo featuring the words "proud to be part of." The scheme was refreshed as part of the brand work in 2022 and has been promoted extensively since then, including at a workshop at the Cairngorms Business Partnership Conference in November, which I should say was very well attended with a high level of engagement. There's also been a series of videos for businesses promoted through Visit Cairngorms channels. We are partnering with the Cairngorms Business Partnership over the coming months to promote the charter further, including a specific workshop with local producers to explore the use of a made-in brand stamp for products made in the Cairngorms. And I can assure members that the findings from this workshop will be brought to the board for further discussion ahead of any scheme being rolled out. Paper 3, Local Development Plan with reference to the plan scheme at paragraph 15A.3, share report from Canusie High School. This is complete. Members will want to know that the reports for the Local Development Plan engagement with pupils of Canusie High School are available on the website, and I should say they really are well worth reading. Paper 4, review of board standing orders at paragraph 19A.1, remove point 53B in Annex 1, complete. At paragraph 19B.2, add in additional wording to permit flexibility to allow phone calls if this is the only possibility, also complete. At paragraph 19B.3, amend reference to telephone link to video call for continuity in the paper, complete. And just to confirm, all amendments have been made and the standing orders have been issued. Paper 5, active Cairngorms and end of season visitor report at paragraph 23A.1, include key challenges in mitigation and learning in future papers. So these are to be included in the 2025 report. At paragraph 23C.2, statistics on campsite and luxury camping options within the national park, also to be included in next year's report. And finally, at paragraph 23D.3, share finalised report on water access guidance, complete. This takes us to item 4, declarations of interest. None have been received in advance. With regard to item 5, paper 1, members will note the provisions set out in the board memo for the meeting. And the Standards Commission have agreed a dispensation for all members covering item 7, paper 3 on the visitor levy proposals. The dispensation and an advice note was issued to all members on the 24th of January. All that said, are there any declarations of interest? None. Thank you very much. We move on to papers and item 5, paper 1, the CEO report and convener update. This is for information and it's introduced by Grant Moyer, Chief Executive Officer. Grant.
Morning, everyone. Just a few things to highlight. So first up is just on the peatland restoration side. We've had a really successful year on the peatland side, and we're roughly going to end up with over 2,000 hectares of peatland restoration being carried out in the park this current financial year, which is about 500 hectares above target. So we're in a really good place around the peatland side of things. So that's really good for the team there, and we've now got the team up to full strength as well in terms of recruiting into that team. So we're in a good place on the peatland restoration side. Just to say that since the last time we've had the launch of the community deer larders down in the Highland Perthshire area, and we've had some really good coverage around that online and with the media as well in terms of all the work that's happening down in that area. And we've also got the venison subsidy scheme, which has come through its first trial, and we're just collating the data on that at the moment, and we'll share that with you once we have it in terms of all the different estates that have taken part in that as well. But so far it looks like the trial has worked up to a point, and we've got year 2 of the trial coming up, and we'll look at what tweaks we can make for it next year as well to make sure it's even better. On the fire management side of things, the fire bylaws have been submitted to Scottish Government. The adverts will be in the local newspapers next week, so in the Courier, the Piper and the Strathay, so we cover all of those, and then it will be open until I think it's the 18th of May in Scottish Government to receive any comments on the finalised wording the board approved the last time. So that's now in place. And the Integrated Welfare Management Plan consultation ends next week. So if there's anyone out there who still needs to put in their comments on that, then they can do so by that date. In terms of some other things, the seasonal rangers are being onboarded at the moment. Most of them have started and they're doing their training at the moment, so we're in place for all of that, and we've got a good selection of people across the national park, so that's all good as well. And on the active travel and sustainable transport side of things, the procurement has started around some of that, and all the applications and paperwork around with Transport Scotland around the funding for the design stages associated with that. So that's a big bit of work that's taken a long time to do all of that. And obviously, with the changes to the funding last year, we're slightly behind, but we're now in a good place to move forward with the Cairngorms 2030 projects around transport. I think the only other thing I was going to highlight was that the new website will be up and running in the next 10 days or so. And that will sit alongside the current website for about a month to make sure that the new one is working properly, whilst because there will be some teething sides of things. But then once we've ironed out anything that happens, then we'll turn off the old one in about a month's time. So we'll send everyone the link to the new website in due course, but it will be a lot easier to navigate. I have a lot fewer pages that are old, and we'll make sure that we've got up-to-date information that can then be pulled across into all the different accounts and things that Ollie set out in paragraph 18 there. I think that's the key things from me in the paper, but happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Grant. Are there any questions on the reports? Jackie Brereton.
Thanks, Grant. I was just looking at the last item on your report around procurement on the 2030 projects. The fact that we've got 80 projects going through with that value, which is huge. Is there anywhere where we can see a list of the 80 projects, and have local businesses and organisations had a chance to see the list of tenders? And was there a community wealth building approach taken in terms of that process?
Yeah, no, happy to provide a list. We've got a list of all the procurement that we're doing at the moment for Cairngorms 2030, so happy to circulate that around people to have a look at that. Obviously, it depends on the size of the tender as to what different procurement route it goes through, whether it ends up on PCS, I think is the Scottish side of things, if it's a fairly sizable contract. So some of the transport ones, for instance, are at that sort of scale. Other ones have different procurement routes. We try and make sure we've got lots of local suppliers that are part of that. And we certainly in the procurement guidance that we've recently passed, that's all set out in terms of how we make sure that we try and retain as much within the local area as possible. So it's all set out in the procurement guidance that was agreed, what, 6 months ago-ish?
Audit committee last summer.
Yeah, that's all in place. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions on the reports? None. Thank you very much. Grant, we'll move on to item 6, paper 2, the Cairngorms National Park Authority 2025-26 budget and operational plan. So this is for decision. The board is being asked to approve the Cairngorms National Park Authority's budget and operational plan, which should read for 2025-26, as set out in the paper. Also to consider the impact of the budget and operational plan on the strategic risk register and any amendments arising. Before discussing the paper, I would just reflect the discussions members have already had at the Resources Committee that although we're still waiting for some funding confirmations, this is fundamentally a very good budget position for the Park Authority to start the year. I'll now ask Louise Allen, Head of Finance and Corporate Operations, to introduce the paper. Louise.
Thanks, Sandy. Yes, we've built the budget for 25-26 on assumed funding levels of £18 million, and that includes around £4 million in relation to Cairngorms 2030. That's an increase of £2 million over the prior year budget. I started with the authority in December of 2022. And so I had a look back at what the budget was in 22-23, just to remind myself about the scale of the operation. And it was, in fact, 13 million at that point. So you can see that's quite an increase in resource and delivery over a very short period of time. It's not an unusual situation that, excuse me, that we're in at the moment, in that we haven't received formal confirmation of our key funding streams. But what we've done is build the budget on what we consider to be the most likely allocations based on guidance from our colleagues in the Scottish Government and indications around the amounts that we will receive are all looking very positive. Nevertheless, that leaves us with a level of uncertainty, and I've reflected that in the budget risks that are set out in Annex 3 to the paper. You'll be familiar with the fact that our most significant single item of costs is our payroll. Obviously, that additional £5 million of delivery between 22-23 and now required people resource to deliver it. Our payroll budget for the year includes a pay award of just over £250,000, increase in the provision for national insurance contributions of about 90,000.